What if the British East India Company pivoted from tea to data? Let me paint a picture for you. It is 1857. The British East India Company, the most ruthless, powerful corporation in human history, is staring down the barrel of its own extinction. They have a private army of 260,000 men, but their core business of spices, cotton, and tea is crumbling under rebellions and massive debt. The British Crown is preparing to strip them of their charter. But what if the board of directors made the most brilliant pivot in business history? What if they realized that the future wasn't in moving physical cargo across oceans, but moving information? Welcome to the alternate reality where the East India Company becomes the world's first global telecommunications monopoly, a 19th century megatech corporation that builds the physical infrastructure of the internet 100 years early. The year is 1858. Instead of fighting the crown, the East India Company liquidates its massive stockpiles of physical goods. They fire the mercenaries. They sell the forts. They take billions in today's money and pour every single penny into a radical new technology, submarine telegraph cables. Sending a message from London to Bombay took months by ship. The EIC sees the ultimate market inefficiency. They rip out the cannons from their massive fleet of ships and replace them with giant spools of copper wire insulated with tree sap. They become the largest cable-laying fleet on Earth. By 1865, while the rest of the world is busy fighting civil wars, the EIC has quietly laid a web of underwater cables connecting London, New York, Mumbai, Hong Kong, and Tokyo. They don't own the land anymore. They own the nervous system of the entire planet. And here is where the business model goes from innovative to purely evil. The East India Company doesn't just charge a flat fee to send a telegram. They invent surge pricing, data tiering, and algorithmic trading before computers even exist. If a merchant in London wants to know the price of silk in Shanghai, they have to pay the EIC, but the EIC's own internal traders see that message first. They read the data, front-run the trade, buy up the silk themselves, and then deliver the delayed telegram to the merchant. They are the network provider, the exchange, and the biggest inside trader on the planet. Governments try to build their own cables, but the EIC has a monopoly on the specific sap needed for waterproofing. If a rival company tries to lay a line in the Atlantic, mysterious anchor dragging incidents suddenly snap their cables in the middle of the night. The EIC runs a mafia protection racket on global communications. Fast forward to 1890. The East India Company is no longer a British corporation. They are a stateless sovereign entity headquartered on a heavily fortified artificial island in the mid-Atlantic, directly over the central oceanic cable hubs. They call it the switchboard. They employ thousands of telegraph operators, cryptographers, and analysts. They invent the first data centers, massive warehouses of filing cabinets where human clerks index every major financial transaction and military command sent across the globe. Kings and presidents are entirely at their mercy. When the Spanish-American War breaks out in 1898, the EIC doesn't sell weapons. They sell latency. They offer the United States a premium zero-latency package for their naval commands while artificially throttling Spain's communications. The Spanish ships get their orders a day late, and the US wins effortlessly. They are Amazon Web Services, and the NSA rolled into one Victorian conglomerate. Their valuation is unquantifiable, but every monopoly eventually meets its match, and for the East India Company, that match is the year 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand is assassinated. The globe is rapidly plunging into the First World War. For the last 50 years, the EIC has played every empire against each other, but modern warfare requires absolute logistical synchronization. The Allied forces and the Central Powers both realize that whoever controls the switchboard controls the outcome of the war. The British Royal Navy surrounds the EIC's artificial island, demanding full, exclusive control of the global network under the threat of absolute bombardment. 12 hours later, the German U-boat fleet arrives, threatening to torpedo the underwater main lines if the EIC complies with the British. The golden age of playing both sides is dead. The board of directors sits in their mahogany boardroom, listening to the artillery shells loading outside. They are faced with the ultimate trillion-dollar crossroad. Option A: they surrender the network to the British, securing their survival but becoming a mere utility under the thumb of the crown, effectively ending their run as a sovereign tech empire. Option B: They execute Protocol Zero. They pull the master kill switches, severing every major cable on the ocean floor and plunging the entire planet back into the dark ages of communication. It would crash the global economy and stall the world war, but they hold the only blueprints to rebuild it, forcing the world to beg them for a reboot on their own terms. What would you do? Do you fold to the superpowers, or do you crash the world to save your crown? This is the high-stakes, ruthless decision-making that separates mere managers from legendary titans. Imperio reveals your strategic mindset. Download the app, step into the boardroom of history's greatest alternate empires, and test your executive instincts. The world is waiting for your move.